S&P and the Nasdaq, and then we'll look at the tech stocks. So in a bit of a nutshell, we're looking from the top here, we're looking down as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here, and then an ABC pattern here, and then another 5 waves down to finish at that point. So that will be our structure, this ABC pattern here. I would also like to present a pattern that could take us down further still. So I think we need to have a look at that. So if I go to the alternative count here, which you can access through this charting program, and in this instance here, just going to the weekly chart here, let's just assume a much bigger pattern to play out here. So in this instance here, the first, what we're actually looking at here at the moment is that from just a moment ago, we're looking down for an A wave, a B wave, and a C wave here, and then moving up from that point. So if we don't move up from there and we end up with a larger 5 waves down here, because if we get 5 waves here, that means we'll get another 5 waves over here. Now, it could mean that we just have an ABC correction, an A and a B and a C wave to this point here, but it kind of puts us in no man's land at that point. So we would have to probably look at pulling back to the wave 4 of 1 lesser degree, which would be obviously way down here, which is a long way. Now, I mean, that's just Elliott, and that's just the way the cookie crumbles. And, you know, there's a good sign that fundamentally, so to speak, for a longer term correction to go on, because I do see the Trump government as with this tariffs is, you know, they're concerned about China, and I find that this tariff is really directed at China. And how do I put this? So, you know, essentially the Trump administration is looking at Canada and Greenland, because the Russians and the Chinese are popping their head around the North Pole. So they want to defend it at that point. But they probably see it easier to basically crush the Chinese economy. 45% of the surplus for basically 45% profits that China make come out of the US. Now, those figures at 45-50% are not dictated as presented as such, but when you take on Vietnam and a lot of these other countries that are, you know, I think Vietnam's up around the $133 billion mark. So that's why, you know, countries that surround China, Vietnam, have got 47% tariffs on them, you know. So I do see that all the countries around China that have been, you know, shipping goods and setting up factories in those countries and then sidetracking tariffs will now have to stop, and they will need to rearrange themselves. But the bottom line is that you know, when you add up all these countries, it's about 45 to 50% of the income of China comes from the US in various forms. Now, if that's all cut off, then, you know, that, you know, the tariffs that the US have put on are 34%, and then the bite back from China at another 34% on the 9th of April, you know, that brings it up to like 68%, you know, and losing half of their income in China. I mean, that's really devastating. You know, that's going to be, you know, that's crippling stuff. So that's really a tariff war. All of this I see is really sort of focused on China. It's just that everybody else gets caught up in it. But that's what I see. And, you know, the bottom line is that the M2 money supply is growing. So, you know, it's increasing. So that means that they are spending money on their own military. So they're building up the military, they're geopolitically, they're strategizing, and it's basically game on at this point. Now, what does that mean for the markets if that is indeed the case? And, you know, I'm not a professional in that area at all. I just sort of, you know, look and read as much as anybody else. But it could put us in a bigger pattern for all of this. Anyway, I just wanted to, you know, put that across there a little bit and have a bit of a look at that. But in the the meantime, we're just going to track this little ABC pattern down here, and just going back to the original count here, and just going to go back to the daily chart here on this, and yeah, we'll look at it moving down here. Now this A wave could be counted in different ways here. So you could look at it as an A and a B and a C. That's probably right. At the end of the day though, this here will be wave 1 and 2 here, and coming down for 3, 4 and 5. So in this case we can look for an ABC up here and then another ABC down here. Now also too, being at the 5,000 here, trading levels talk now, 5,000 major level, second strongest number, group 1 above and group 2 below here. So we will see it down in the lower end of group 2 here, and maybe even a bit further down depending on the speed of things, because you know the tariffs for China come out on April the 9th, I believe, so that's this week. So there's a fair bit going on at the moment, and we are sort of picking up speed here, so this could end up being, you know, pull down here further in that instance, you know, a bit of a sharper move down, and you know this may not be like that, it could be more like this, and we're just tracking the patterns. That's basically it at the moment. Now we could look at this as an A and a B and a C wave down here for this, and then back to the B wave there. We could also look at it as
创去年6月4日来最大跌幅。印度波动率指数飙升至19.37，为去年11月6日来最高。
as well on this here. So I've got it here as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here, but there are other ways to, I'll pull that back up there and I'll just delete this line here now. So there are a few ways to count it, but it's quite clear from this point of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 coming down here at that point. And then if we just take this to, let's just say the 30 minutes here for this, at wave 2 here we've got wave 1 and 2, and just coming down here, so we'll see 3, 4 and 5. So it will play out across this 5,000 here, but this may end up being down here further, all that sort of thing at this point, and then we can fill in the dots here as well by dropping this down into the next degree of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's 1 is clear, 2 is clear, 3 is clear, 4 here, coming down for wave 5 here. I think this is actually a little 1, 2 here and then a 1, 2, so we could probably drift that down here a little bit lower as well. Wave 4s tend to pull back to the wave 4 of 1 lesser degree, but I wouldn't count on it in where we are within the structure. So but we are going into wave 4s here, and another wave 4 over here for this as well. That's probably a little bit lower here, and so on and so on. So the thing is that I've got this down here as wave A here, and as I just mentioned, the bigger picture, what we need to be careful of is this going to be a larger wave 1 coming down here. So that's what I don't know at this particular point in time, but what I do know is that we can track this down in 5 waves here. Unless this is an A and a B and a C wave here, then we won't get the wave 4 and we'll go up into the B wave at that point. So we'll just see how this plays out down here. It'll take a little bit of work, but we'll be sort of patient with that. Okay, so let's have a look at the NASDAQ. I won't go into bigger picture with the NASDAQ, but basically the same, picking it up from this wave 4 over here as wave 1 and 2 here, and coming down as 1 and 2, 3, 4, 5 here for the third wave, the fourth wave and the fifth wave at this point. So a slightly different pattern here for this, but still much the same as well, so you can stay on the short side for that. Let's look at some stock. So with Apple here, we've got a wave 2 up here, and then we're coming down as 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 here for the third wave. We're going to have the fourth wave over here, and then we'll have the fifth wave down here. So most of the markets are the same in that the only thing that I'm not quite sure about is that some of these markets will have like 4, 5 here, but some of them can have one more low here. So this is what I've got to figure out. It just depends if the move down is an ABC pattern at this point. But in the meantime, it's pretty straightforward. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. So this will finish off down here and then go back for wave 4 and then down for wave 5. Let's have a look at Amazon. So with Amazon here, once again, we've got wave 3 and 4 here, and we're going down for 1 and 2, and 345 down here for this. I've got these here, which I can remove. It's just that I had to redo this video because it didn't, just had some errors in the video in terms of the audio and the image track. So, but anyway, I mean, you can short this, put a stop above this, and have a profit down here before the 150 on the medium level here for this. So going from wave 4 down to wave 5 further here. But this 150 here will be basically where we need to be at this point for this. Where are we on hundreds here? So yeah, so the 150 here, the medium level, would be the target, even though we can come down further on this. But that's Amazon. So let's have a look at the next one. So we're looking at Nvidia here, and we've got wave 1 and 2 here, and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and coming down for 4 and 5 here. We can fill in the dots here on this, so 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 5. You can access all of these charts from within this analyst space here. Just select the analyst in here, and you can access that as well. In this case here, we've got 3, 4, 5 for the 3rd, 4th and 5th to come down. This wave 4 may go back up, and this one of these could retest this 100. That's just a normal thing to do at that point. But you can kind of see that we're in wave, where we've got lower to go, but we're in these wave 4s now, so it's going to get a little bit tricky at this point. This is Meta. So Meta's much the same as well here in terms of we need to move down further. Now the problem here is that we're at 500, so this 500 is going to be quite a sticky sort of number at this point. So just be a bit careful about that. Consider group 2 500, then group 1 above and group 2 below here will play out as support here. So just be a little bit mindful of that, but certainly further downside. Also, just to let you know that in the stock check here, we've created this dividend portfolio. So you just put in, whatever, portfolio that you've already got in Trading Lounge, and so we're looking for feedback for this. This is a real dividend strategy type program, so we're just sort of building that at the moment, and that here fits into the stock check here into this dividend dashboard. So anybody interested in dividends, probably not at the moment, but good time to prepare for it. So we're looking for feedback on this one here. Okay, so back over here from Meta, we need to move on. So with Netflix here, we've got, we're looking for an A wave from the top, and a B wave here, and a C wave moving down here. So in this particular case, Netflix hasn't, this is the all-time high here, it hasn't really pulled down a lot, so I want to keep it as an A and a B and a C at this stage. And when those other markets pull back for a B wave, then this one can come back up here and finish this structure off at this point. So there won't be many stocks like that, but in the meantime here, we'll just bring this wave C over to here, and we're looking for this to finish off. So we can expect Netflix down at 800. It'll be a little bit of a bumpy road going through the 850 and the 830 here, so just be a little bit mindful of that, but we can expect further downside for Netflix, of course. And then we come to Google. We're on the 30-minute chart here, and we're looking down at 1 and 2 here, and then 3, 4, 5 to move on down. So we could probably move down to the 130 without too much problem from where we are within the structure. We'll just see how the third wave here plays out here. So we could probably expect it to move down a bit further than this. I don't think that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's going to be down here a little bit further, and we can bring that down here. It's a little bit sort of long there. I'm just wondering if we'll get another retest back at that point, but we should also kind of consider this market moving down further as well here. And I don't think that's going to come back again this high here as well, so we'll bring that down. So we'll end up being down closer to the 130 at this point for this market. Once again, you can look to short these markets here on. I'll just put that up there above that wave 2 there, and just put that here and change that template to an entry there. So you want to keep the stop above the 150 at this point. Let's have a look at Microsoft. So Microsoft's got further to move down as well. So if you consider this a wave 3 here and wave 4 here, then we've got 1, 2, and we need to play this out 3, 4 here. Now I've got this quite sort of tight here, but I'm thinking that we may need to come down a bit further on this one as well. It's a little bit sort of different from the other markets. If I can just bring this back up to intermediate here, because this market actually started its bear market way before the other markets, but at the same time I need to bring it into the same pattern. So from the top here is the A wave, the B wave, and the C wave here for wave A, and then a B, and then a C. Now it could play out a little bit different than this as well, but all I can do at this point is track from the top here, track down here in terms of 5 waves coming to the downside. So that's what I've done. We've got 1 and 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for the third, the fourth, and the fifth here. Now, so now I'm counting 5 waves in this move here. That's how I'm going about doing that. But this rally here will be in line with the other markets, you know, the Nasdaq and the S&P and all the rest of it. So we'll see how that goes. I mean, the only thing I can change here really is to bring this down bring these down here further. You know, in this case, extend it down. But I'll just keep counting these waves, and we'll see how we play out with that. Let's have a look at Tesla. So we'll just look at Tesla on the weekly chart here for a moment. So we've got from the top over here, we've got this as the A wave, then an ABC over here for the B wave over here. And there's 2 ways we could look at this. We could look at Tesla as a triangle. That means this would be an A and a B, and then a C wave to here, C, D, and E over here. I don't think that's the case because of the current fundamentals about this company in terms of car sales and the love for Elon at the moment. So it's likely to be an expanded flat, as we talked about before, with an A wave here, a B wave up here. And because it took out the top over here, that means it will take out the top, the bottom over here. So we can expect it down under 100. So then we've got to look at how we count it to the downside. And the way we count it to the downside is 1 and 2 here, and then 1 and 2 here, and 3, 4, 5 for the third, the fourth, and coming down for the fifth here. So this will land pretty much in line with the other markets as well. On the intraday basis, we talked about, well, I talked about shorting it in the previous video, which you didn't get because it didn't render properly. So I'm just going to go in here and look at this again. Now, in this case, we've got the 250 here as a nice point. This stop would need to go here just in case this ends up being 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here for 1, and then back for 2 here. So yeah, but we need to be taking this low out down here for this, so that should be fine, and the rest of the market's coming down, so that will be that. But wave 4 here with 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 5 over here, bringing it down to the 200 here, where we'll get a bounce from that point. So that opens that can of worms. Let's have a look at Bitcoin. So I'm just tracking Bitcoin in the same vein, same light as the tech stocks. So we have our top over here, and then we look at counting this down here. Now I've got this as wave 3 here with an A, B, C, D, and E here we've been working through. Now we're starting to see it break to the downside. If tech stocks are going to push back up for the wave B, then down for wave C. So that's where we are at the moment for this. So at the moment we're counting 5 waves down here. We can expect this low to be taken out. How far it comes down, the support down here is 72 and 65. If we just go into the 30-minute chart here for a moment. So this was coming out of our triangle pattern here. We've got wave 1 here and 2 here, and then we're looking down here for wave 3 down here. Let me just fill in the dots here. So on minute degree, we could look at this as 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 5 here. We could drop that down even further into here as 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we could push this into here, get some wave 4 back here and wave 5 here. This could push up a little bit higher here. It's been really quite supportive, this particular market. As I mentioned, the M2 money supply is still increasing because of Donald's, defense strategy as well, and rebuilding the military and so on. So more printing, better off for Bitcoin. So it is being a little bit more supportive in the market. But that's sort of where we are. I think our other analysts have got much the same here as well. This is Samno's account as well. So yeah, he's got it slightly different than I have in this structure. And Kitty upon here, I noticed he had it here somewhere as well. Let me see if I can find it quickly enough without too much ado. Yeah, so he's even got it counted differently, but the whole three of us have got it coming down further. But it's interesting here, he's just got it as an ABC and then going up again, but I've got it coming down here with the tech stocks going back up and then coming down again as well. So we'll see, this is a bit complicated to count in here, yeah, as I've mentioned before, but I don't need to go into that. But yeah, we're pretty much all confirming that we're going into that particular direction. Alrighty, that's it. Thanks for tuning in. Cheers.
Here's my take. Liberation Day is an apt name for Donald Trump's policy to impose massive new tariffs across the world. His view of the United States is of a victimized colony taken advantage